welcome to Liquid Lunch. It's me, Hugh, Sandra here.
Hello.
And we're starting on time in Regina. Right?
Yeah.
Because it took us an hour. Because today we vowed that we are going to start on time today, and we're later than ever. Of course,
But I was here on time. I just have to let you know.
Thanks to Nikki Hayes.
Thanks to Nikki Hayes.
Who's in the building.
We had to move the studio up to the top floor of this hall.
That's the other thing. We had to move the studio up to the top of this building that we're in.
Okay.
So we could see that view that we can see out the back.
Yeah. And also, too, you would not even know that there's snow out there.
Because there isn't.
No, there is. But they plowed it from the highways. You see in the airport, well, you know, the water's still
Yeah, it looks
warm.
Yeah, somewhere. That's Regina, too.
Exactly. Okay, let's get busy because we got a really big show.
Okay, yeah,
okay,
a lot of guests. But first of all, we have to say, with the passing of Nelson Mandela, we just have to mention that Nelson Mandela passed a few days ago, and that it's a great loss.
Yep.
Well, a lot of really good things.
Our first guest is actually from South Africa.
And
I don't know if we're going to get into that.
And I didn't even know that
because you know, we are not as aware of South African politics as someone who's actually from South Africa. So, but that's not what we're here to talk about anyway. But yes, you're right. But
we are. But in a way, it is because Tamara's here to talk about world peace, right?
Yeah. I want to say who else is coming on the show before we get into it with Tamara. Look at Tamara. She's looking so disgusted.
I know.
Because we're just making this up as we go along.
That's life.
Joe Barbieri's coming on the show. The cost
Mr. Moneyman.
The cost of managing money.
Yes.
Erin Witherspoon, actress and serial dater. She's a serial dater. Sandra.
Oh. I'd like to know what that
Mark
is.
Martyre is coming on the show. We've got a new album called London. Linda Pinizzotto is coming on the show.
Okay.
Remember her?
I
the
remember
condos,
her.
all about the
remember
condos.
her. She's an amazing lady.
And Jennifer Chen from Channel Zero. That's CHCH TV in Hamilton. They're bringing back Tiny Talent Time.
I heard they're looking for some. They're casting now.
You're too old for that. You have to be less than 12.
Okay, well, that was many years ago.
Do you remember Tiny
But
Talent Time?
if you divide it by, in a certain number, I would only be 4.
Did you get Tiny Talent Time in Sudbury?
No.
Okay.
I don't think we did.
All right.
I don't think we did.
Okay, let's get busy with Tamara. Tamara, hi.
Hello, Tamara.
Hi. Nice to be here.
And we're talking about world healing, right?
We are.
And which is an important topic because the world always needs healing, doesn't it?
Well, the world is whole.
Well, like I said, and I do think there is a connection with Nelson Mandela because he was all about world peace and healing humanity. And
he was a
rights.
humanitarian. People talk about the loss. No, the gain. We've gained because of his existence.
Absolutely, 100%.
So I like to think of the world having gained from Nelson Mandela, and it was time to pass. He passed gently in the arms of his family. It was lovely.
And some people told me they were expecting that because when he died, that there might be trouble in South Africa as a result. But what's your assessment? I thought myself, no, it's not going to happen.
Don't ask me politics.
All right.
I'm not willing to get into politics because we'll be here for about 5 hours.
All right. Well, we're talking about world healing.
If you've got the
Well,
time.
not today we don't. Okay.
The reason I'm here, is that John Randolph Price in the mid-1980s wanted people to become aware of the power of thought. We know that thought is creative, and if we could have one unified thought as a vibration around the planet, it would make a difference. And every year, without fail, in Toronto, and this is going to be the 28th year, we have had a world healing event. Now, it's at an ungodly hour. It corresponds to noon Greenwich Mean Time.
Whose idea was that?
Well, I think it's a good idea because here it is, we gather at 6:30 in the morning on Tuesday. This year it's going to be a Tuesday, the 31st of December. And everybody gathers, and we start the meditation punctually at 7 o'clock. And so does everybody else according to their time frame around the world. And this year is a particularly special year because it's the last year we're going to be doing this gathering at the St. Lawrence Hall on King Street, King and Jarvis, the southwest corner. I'll give the details afterwards. And every year we have had phenomenal people join us because people come from their hearts and donate their time and energy to this gathering.
And even though it's free tomorrow, people donate finances to help pay for the event as well, correct?
The hall costs us about $1,700, and we say that it's free and there's no charge. People help us out by generously donating,
Nice.
and we're always very grateful for that. But what's really lovely is people of all ages come. We have seniors who have come for years. We have married couples, single people. We have teenagers. We also have children that come. People get their kids up because we want to start with the children. We want to start the children getting the idea that they can make a difference. They can make a big difference in how the planet is. And we want to leave the inheritance to our children and grandchildren. And we have a beautiful candle lighting ceremony, and the children actually participate in that, which we love. It's really lovely.
How long is the entire event? From 6:30 to?
From 6:30 to 8 in the
Oh,
morning.
wow, so it's not very long.
No, it's an hour and a half, and then we all get together and go for breakfast, which is fun.
Wow.
That is fun. Where do you go around there?
yeah.
Jersey Giant?
Well, I'm not saying because we used to go to Martyre, but they haven't given us quota.
Yeah.
So we are thinking of finding somebody who will welcome a group. We've had people between 200 and 800 people come out at that time of day
Wow.
to this event.
But how can you, oh my goodness, how can you have that many people at one restaurant?
Well, no, not everybody
Big
comes for
restaurant.
Oh, okay.
breakfast. What they do
Big
come
restaurant.
for is the meditation,
Yeah.
which is important.
So
Those
it's-
are the number of people that come to the meditation.
All right, Tamara.
We've had people like Salome Bay. We've had people
Wow.
like Brenda McIntyre.
She was just here on the weekend.
Oh, Brenda, lovely,
Yes.
lovely. We've had, a Brent Titcomb. We've had so many really fabulous people. Howard Jerome has compared for years, and he will be there again this year. He brings everything together. People who used to be at this event, who were holding the torch. This is the 28th year. People like Pearl Yaffe, Stephen Ginsberg, Paolo Greco, Frida Kemp, Lorne Gould, Penny
Weinstock.
Weinstock, thank you, sorry. Frida won't be with us this year because a group of Russians who were going to come to Canada to see some very ancient historic place in Newfoundland weren't able to get visas, so they have invited our Frida Kemp to go there to conduct the World Healing event.
In Newfoundland.
In Russia.
Oh,
In Russia.
that sounds like fun.
Wow.
So, okay, but Tamara, okay, now I know, and you know,
Yes.
right?
I know that you know.
how important it is about this thought affecting reality. But can you talk, the man you mentioned who founded this event, let's talk about that, the mechanics of this, that prayer and thought actually affects the world around us.
Absolutely. Let me just take you with the idea that our bodies constitute a high percentage of water
Right.
Like what, 80% is it?
or more. Okay, high percentage of water and a handful of minerals. Emoto
Yeah.
demonstrated that if whatever frequency you put into water affects the structure. And so if that's the case, our thoughts, our actions, and everything affect our being. That's why affirmations are so effective. Affirmations work because the frequency and the idea of affirmation affects us in the way that it changes our frequency in the cells. So how would it be where two or more are gathered in a large group, let's say in Toronto, and in London, England, and in Singapore, and in Australia, and all over the world, whether simultaneously we are putting into our own structure and out into the world the thoughts and feelings of world peace, of humanism, and things like that, things that Mandela did, you know.
All about positive and unity consciousness.
Everything's connected.
Yes.
Everything?
Everything is connected, you know.
Everything.
Well, you know what? You know what's kind of interesting, I find,
What?
is that right now, like there was all that war hype around Syria, and now it's all gone.
A lot of people are working very hard at dismantling the frequencies of war.
Yeah.
People are waking up, those that are waking up realize that each one of us makes a difference.
And they had the big convergence here with the permaculture here last weekend, and that's where Brandon McIntyre was here.
Right.
And there, a couple of guys came in at some point during the weekend, and I just started talking to them at some point, and they said that they were like working the way they were doing their work. They were praying. They were like spending a lot of time and consciousness praying for, just for good things to happen.
And wouldn't it be lovely where our farmers, while they're working with the food that we eat, would be praying as they work?
So that would
And
come
wouldn't-
through the food and would come through as
Absolutely.
part of
And
the
wouldn't
nutrition.
it be wonderful when the people who are shipping the food, if we have to have shipped food,
Yeah.
are praying while they're loading boxes?
Everybody, an attitude of
Everybody.
reverence, no matter what you're
Absolutely.
doing.
Absolutely.
Teachers, if that work with teachers for kids in class.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
I mean, I teach a breathing exercise
Yes.
to school children that when they get distressed, they can take a 30-second break and just do this breathing exercise.
It's better than taking a chill pill.
Well, it is a chill thrill because they feel good.
Can you imagine if we had that attitude when we went into the shopping malls at Christmas time? The parking range and the parking lots where you have all these angry people getting mad at each other because they're taking each other's spots. That would be so much nicer if we could just,
Share.
oh, no problem, you take it. I'll just wait another hour.
Always get that anyway.
Well, the point is that if you're supposed to be getting a parking spot, it just appears anyway.
Oh, okay. So
True,
what else should
that's
we
when
talk
you're
about?
in sync.
So
What
let's
else?
just have a little look at what it says here. Okay, so this this is not the last year that we're doing this, but it will be the last year that it's going to happen at the St. Lawrence Hall. Okay? And so this wonderfully inspired event, which is part of a simultaneous global effect, brings together people all over the world at the same time to focus their intention on healing the planet. We intend to transform the earth into a place that embraces peace and loving kindness everywhere. It's a nice thought.
You know what? And it sounds like
Beautiful.
actually a great thing to do early in the morning.
Absolutely. What a great
you go
start to the day.
downtown and there's like nobody around and it's just got that early morning
It's
vibe
lovely.
going on, and then you go for breakfast. I
It's-
can't think of a better thing to do.
You're going to be there?
I didn't say that. But I can't think of a better thing to do.
Nice. Thank you. I
If
just want to give-
if you weren't sleeping in, right, Hugh?
Right. Well, let the thought be that I'm going to be there. And what we've suggested...
We'll wake you up, Hugh. I can call you and wake you up if you
That's
want.
right. That's
All
right.
right,
I want to give everybody the address.
yes, please.
So please just take a pen and paper. It's the St. Lawrence Hall, which is at 157 King Street East, Toronto, Ontario, which is the southwest corner of King and Jarvis, and it's on the 3rd floor. And we would really like you to join us. And if you would like to go onto a website, it's www.emanation.org, EMANATION.org/DEC31/
slideshow/index
No, there's also yeah.
.htm.
And there's also the World Peace Toronto, if you're looking on Facebook. This is a nice, yes.
Yeah, and we're going to put that up in the credits anyway.
Okay, so you can cut that
thank
out.
you. Tomorrow, we're not going to cut anything out.
Oh,
This is the
okay.
show,
This
and
is
we're
the
not
real
changing
deal.
it. We're not changing it
please
tomorrow.
change it, tweak it.
Okay. Is that it then?
That's it, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
And,
Tamara.
Thank
Have
you
a
very
most
much.
wonderful time.
Can I put a little plug in here?
Of course you
On
can.
the 1st of January,
Yeah.
I've decided to get together people who would be very interested to do vision boarding, to create what they would like for 2014. So anybody who would like to contact me and register, I think that would be lovely.
How do they do that tomorrow?
Well, they can get me on my email, which is breathe,
Yeah.
BREATHE, at tamarapenn.com.
Fantastic.
PENN.
Vision
that.
boarding for the new year.
Vision boarding for the new year. I'm going to put it up on Facebook.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Thank you
All right.
very much.
Okay, thank you, Tamara.
Thank you.
Always
Thanks
nice to
very
have
much
you on.
for the opportunity.
So we're going to come back with Joe Barbieri in just a couple minutes. I got this great little video. It's number 1 there, the Landfill Orchestra. This is going to make,
The land.
this is going to bring a tear to your eye. This is what you're talking about, Tamara. And we're going to come back with Joe right after this.
Abogado, tengo 13 años y toco el violín. Mi nombre es Ada Maribel Ríos Bogado, tengo 13 años y toco el violín.
Me llamo Juan Manuel Chávez, más conocido como Baby. Tengo 19 años y toco el cello. Este cello está hecho de una lata de aceite, la madera tirada en la basura y las clavijas son de una vieja cuchara para golpear la carne y para hacer el ñoquis. Y suena así.
Una comunidad como Catedra no es un lugar para tener un violín. De hecho, un violín cuesta más que su casa.
En ese grupo acá mismo encontramos el colador de violín. Y de ese empezamos los instrumentos reciclados. La familia que acá vive recicla todo lo que hay en la basura y se vende. No pensaba antes que yo voy a hacer ese instrumento. Y me siento demasiado feliz cuando estoy viendo a un niño que está tocando un violín reciclado.
Cuando ya escucho el sonido del violín, siento como mariposa en el estómago, así una sensación que no sé cómo voy a explicar.
Bueno, la orquesta de instrumentos reciclados es una orquesta que toca instrumentos hechos con la basura.
1, 2, 3.
Y mi vida sería... Sin la música estaría decore y por ahí.
La gente se da cuenta que no tenemos que tirar la basura muy fácilmente. No tenemos que desechar a las personas muy fácilmente.
Okay, we're back here on the show. So there's the Landfill Orchestra.
Wow.
And we're here now with Joe Barbieri. And Joe, it's good to have you back on the show. It's been a while since you've
Hello,
been on the
Joe.
show.
Oh, yeah.
Is this the first time for you in our new studio?
It is, yeah.
Do you have a hard time getting here? Easy, eh?
No, it's very easy.
Did you drive?
I went to the back of the building, though, and because I didn't know which side it was on.
Wow.
See, it's a secret building. We don't tell anybody.
You gotta be
You have to
careful.
be invited.
You have to be careful when you go to the back because sometimes people go to the back of the building, they never come
Things
out.
happen in the back.
They just
It's like the
never-
Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, I ended
come
up in a
back out.
barber shop on the back, and they said, "Yeah, go to
Because
the
they
other
lift and
side."
go into a whole new vibration.
Are they doing a barber shop there today? Did
Is
you
there a
get your hair
quartet?
cut?
I don't know who it was, but there was somebody getting their hair cut in a barber's chair.
Interesting.
And I said, "Oh, well, can you tell me where this is?" And they said, "Yeah, the other side."
Okay. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about.
We're here to talk money.
Yeah, the cost of or the price of managing your money, right?
Are we here to talk about why the landfill exists because we get to talk about money at their expense?
The landfill?
The landfill orchestra we just saw at the break?
I don't think Joe saw it.
I don't think I saw it.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
So, Joe, let's talk about the cost of managing money because you know all about money.
Now, this title is about financial advice.
Right.
So most people I see say, I get my advice free. And I say to them, nothing's free.
Yeah.
You're paying somehow.
Mhm.
Maybe you don't know how you're paying for it. They don't see the money leave their pocket
Right.
to go to whatever they're doing, but they're paying for it. So that's one of the main points.
So are you saying, so is it a consultation that they will say is free, and then if you sign up with them, they actually build that so-called free consultation into the actual service?
How they do it is they sell you product. So they sell you an investment, a mutual fund, an insurance product,
Oh, okay.
anything like that, an account where you put money into the account.
Okay.
And you're paying either by how much you have or how much money you put into each of these products, and then they put the advice in with it.
Right.
So in a lot of
Got it.
cases, if you
Okay.
don't buy something, you're not getting the advice. In a lot of cases,
Okay.
because they come as one.
Okay, but can you what if someone was giving me the advice and I thought, I don't think I really want to do that.
Well, you can walk out,
So then that is free though.
but they won't give you advice again probably because
Okay.
it wasn't worth it for them.
So wait a sec. So
Okay.
Joe, but who, when I think about that, is there a bit of a conflict of interest there sometimes? Like maybe who, you're supposed to be paid, like who's the client here? Who's...
Good question.
Well, this is where I'm getting to partly.
Yeah.
This is what to be aware of. You're the client, say, so you go into whoever the advisor is and say, I want to do this.
Okay.
They're supposed to serve you, but they don't serve only you. They also serve the company.
Right.
So this is where the conflict starts.
Well, who's actually paying them? So they're getting paid, they're giving you advice, and they're getting paid. But are they getting paid by you, the client, or are they getting paid by maybe with a commission from whatever the financial product that they're selling you, that they're advising you to buy?
On top of maybe a company that they happen to work for, they're getting a salary.
Well, typically it's by what you sell.
Okay.
So if you go to a bank and you buy a bank fund, because the bank sells that fund, the person who advised you and sold you the fund gets a commission of the money that the person put in. And that's how a lot of it is. There's different fees as well, but that's the major one.
Wow.
So as the person working for the company, and you want to take money home to do your personal things, you won't get paid if you don't sell these things. So the bias begins to show up.
Right.
I love to advise.
Yeah.
However, if I don't sell them anything, I don't get paid. And if I don't make a lot of money, or I don't have a lot of clients, I'm now conflicted because...
So
Yeah, you may not be giving the best advice for the client because you've got a built-in financial incentive to sell them a product that maybe they don't need.
So I'm thinking, stay away from meeting with any of these people at the end of the month, where they're desperate if they haven't met their quota, and maybe meet at the beginning of the month, because you might get more honest advice. Would that be it?
Or maybe on a Wednesday. Maybe you should just see them on a Wednesday. Hump day.
Well, there's probably some truth to that, but I don't know if there's any numbers behind that.
But that would make a lot of sense if you're...
Yeah, I would think that there's cases where that's true. If they know they have their quota, they likely won't be as eager to say, you have to have this.
Yeah.
Because I don't really need it. It's more like extra. But if they don't have what they need, and you're showing up there saying, I'd like something, you become, if I can just sell them that product, I can make this much, or I can make that much. And so the other thing is about, well, how do they get paid? As the customer, that's the key to ask. Right. How do they get paid? And what's the process? So if you say to them, I'm going to give you X amount of money, what happens? How much am I paying and to whom? And see how it flows. And then you'll see who the players are. If they don't tell you, that says something.
Yeah.
If they tell you something that doesn't make sense, that says something else.
Is that a fair question to ask?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think you should
let's say,
ask that.
okay, so let's use a dollar amount. Okay, so let's say I come in and I have let's say $10,000. Okay? So you're going to tell me, I think you should invest this in so-and-so stock, correct?
Okay.
Or bonds or whatever. And so I wouldn't be investing the full $10,000, would I? Because there's a service fee and all that. Or would I appear to be investing the full $10,000 and it's covered in...
Okay, you're getting into, I guess, broker fees.
Okay, is that not what we're talking about here?
The fee to make a trade. Well, that could be included. Some of them include all that. A lot of them, well, there's also this hierarchy, which I think anybody who's been in an institution will see it. So if you have $10,000, they'll say, well, go to your bank. Go to the person in the bank and ask them. If you have $500,000, they'll say, oh, well, we'll give you a personal advisor, because now you have enough money to justify. And if you have $1 million, they'll send you to another level, a higher net worth advisor. So there's that. And then, so you get bucketed that way.
Okay.
So if you're going in with $10,000, then the question is, what are you going to buy with it? If it's a stock, there's that bucketing, and then you have the account. For a stock, you need a certain type of account, and they charge you by trading. If it's a fund, you can buy it right in the bank,
Wow, okay.
but they charge a percentage. So of the 10,000, you'll pay 1% or 2%, and that comes out every year.
Okay.
And so this is also part of the how do you get paid, and what does it cost me?
Okay.
Because person may not get paid,
So
but
it's
somebody else
nothing more
does.
than paying a tax, really, when you think about it. It's like you're paying a tax, but it's rolled into the fee, right? That's really what it is, because you're saying they will still take money out. Even a year later, they take a certain percentage out for their service? Is that what you're saying?
For managing the fund, and if you have an advisor and you have money with the person, they typically charge a percentage of your asset or what you have.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess it works like a tax, but it's not for the government. It's too.
Well, plus I think it's really important to see how the money flows.
Yeah,
I mean, we've talked before about how in the traditional television field where you're watching TV and you're not paying anything, it's free television, but there's commercials, and the commercials are paid for by corporate sponsors. What's really happening there is that the audience is the product, and the audience is being sold to corporate interest, but that influences the content of television, and it influences the culture as a whole. And I think just because where you see, which is why when you say that's a fair question to ask, you need to see where the true incentives lie so that you know how things are influenced, because everything in that equation is influenced by the way that the money flows. Now, I just, I've heard about that I think I interviewed somebody on the show once, a new breed of financial advisor, where they were paid up front by the customer. Their fees were not hidden in some of the other transactions and stuff like that. Have you heard about these new breed of financial advisor?
That's what I do. The terminology is confusing, so they call them fee-only advisors.
Okay.
Now, forget about the name, because there's lots of fee-based, fee commission, referral fee. If you remember that name, you won't really understand. But the idea is they work only for you, they pay only for advice, and you get a flat fee, which is up front for the advice. Typically, the person buys what they need from some institution, and they get advised on how to do it. And typically, this type of advisor doesn't take the money. They just do the advice, and then the person has to do the executing, they call it.
Okay.
They have to do the buying, and they have to do the trading, and they have to have the account in their name, and they have to, and whoever they have it with does the statements and that. So, so this is called a fee-only planner, and that's how I do it.
So the one thing for sure I would think under this scenario is that you, as the client, you know that your advisor, if you're paying your advisor directly, you know that there's no other incentives involved that may conflict the interest that your advisor has to you. You're paying the advisor, they have your best interests at heart. They have no other incentives from any of the other players in the game, right?
That's the idea.
So how is that, is that a growing sector? This what you call fee only?
It's the fastest growing sector, but it's very, very small.
Well, I would think you would have to be quite educated, as your client must be educated, quite educated, I would imagine, and also probably tainted or somewhat disappointed.
Well, cynical.
Or cynical, that might be a better word.
Or skeptical.
Non-trusting.
Or maybe smart.
It's all of those. No.
But you're saying, though, you have to have a certain amount of skill to be able to invest your own money too, right? Because you're, as a fee-only advisor or whatever you want to call it, I'm responsible for my own trading, so to speak, right? You're just telling me what to do.
But
correct?
Yeah.
Yes. So the ideal person or the person I get most is there's some that say, yeah, I've been with so-and-so and I don't like them. And they're typically, you know, they're usually an institution because 95% of people are with institutions because that's how everything's set up. Some say, you know, I'd like to try this myself because I think I know enough to do it.
Okay.
Some say they had a bad experience and want to try something different.
Can you work with novices, anybody who hasn't done it before?
Yeah, and I do a lot of educating too. I think a lot of them do that.
Do you offer something, Joe, that's a fee as well, just to take you through the process of investing, and you know how you would go and sign up and register if that's what you need to do, or log in, or whatever it is that you need to do?
If that's needed,
Okay.
yes. Now, if somebody's new, well, it depends who it is. If they have a lot of money and they're new, that's a different situation than if they don't have any money and they're new. If they don't have any money and they're new, they usually don't need to do a lot of things.
Well, why would they be talking to you?
Well, you know, I think
because they don't know what to do, so they just say,
okay.
well, should I be doing this and that?
Okay.
And I said, well, yeah, they say to do that, but if you don't have any money and you do that, it's going to be worse. You'll be worse off.
You know,
so it allows them to avoid some problems and do it later when they should do it.
I think the role of education that you explained is really important because people are, whether they're new or whether they're experienced or whether they have a lot of money or whether they have a little money, you know, maybe they think they're getting a good deal by not paying explicitly for the service of a financial advisor, like you're saying. But the problem is that they're paying in other ways. That maybe they're paying in that they're getting bad advice because that advisor's got an incentive to sell them something that may not necessarily be in their best interest. So it might feel like you're paying a little bit more, but you're actually probably, you know, putting yourself in a much better position financially by taking and making sure that there's no conflicts of interest in the advice exchange.
Well, that's a chunk of it. The other thing is that they just don't know how much they're paying, and they don't find out, and that's what started this whole topic, because people keep saying, well, why should I pay you
exactly
$400 when the bank? I said, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What do you have in the bank? $100,000. And what do you have it in? This, and this. Well, you're paying $3,000 a year to have that.
Right.
Is that what you want?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I didn't know there was any other way. Well, okay, then there's this way. Then you pay $400. Now you've saved $2,500, $2,600 every year, and you have the same outcome. Now suddenly the light goes on. Oh, wait a minute. Now I know where you're coming from.
And think about what's happened in the financial sector over the last few years. What was happening in the U.S. with, I guess, the bundled derivative financial, I forget what they're called,
Mortgages?
but you know, those mortgages that they sold and practically bankrupt Iceland and different communities all over the world. So did those financial advisors, do people in the industry working for those large institutions really have investors' best interests at heart? Well, experience in history tells its own story.
Well, honestly, I don't even know how anybody can look at this system and after you understand the chain of how it works, how would you even want to invest your money there? How could you put any trust?
Well, Joe, I bet, has an answer. Joe?
Well, okay. For me personally, that question, everyone will have to have their own way of getting at that. When I started, I said, well, it's there. It's really the only one of its kind. So I just went in with it, and then I started to minimize it. And then as I started exploring things that were not in the system, I began to dabble in those. At some point, I'll be completely out. But to do that, you have to change your whole lifestyle. You have to change your mindset. You have to change where you live. You have to change all of that.
So, okay, so if I'm
which
understanding
is
you...
possible, but it's a commitment though.
Okay.
At the beginning, it's hard to just say, well, if I don't put any money in there at all, then what do I do with it? And you could say, well, buy a farm and grow stuff, but I work downtown. Like, I can't do that. So it's not going to work.
It's a little bit hard.
But over 10 years, maybe you could do that. Say,
Well, you got to get from here to there, right? And your financial plan is part of your overall plan, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But if the financial plan is set up to keep you enslaved or in prison, then that's really what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, but what's happening here is that Joe...
You know what? I have an idea. Why don't we get a whole bunch of people together and start our own bank? So if you have this extra money, you put it in your own bank.
That's a good idea, Sandra. There's a few issues. Joe,
Nothing we can't handle.
do you want to come back someday and we'll talk about that?
Starting
That's
a
a
bank?
good idea? Yeah.
Well, I've known people who've done that.
Yeah.
And, well, it was a trust company, but it's essentially a bank. It looks like a bank, too.
And look at the word, trust. Oh, my God, what a novel concept. Money and trust in the same idea. Wow.
Well, that's what a credit union is, really just a bank that's owned by its depositors.
They've always called it that, such and such, and trust.
Yeah.
It's kind of ironic.
Yeah.
But they've always been called that since, I don't know
To
how
me,
many
that is
years
the
ago.
only way to really take it into your own hands.
Well,
Just
credit
saying.
union. Credit union is a bank that's owned by
Well,
its depositors.
I think that's the key point. Take it into your own hands.
Yeah.
The more of that you can do, the more aware you become.
That's a good point,
The
Jeff.
more of this you can handle. And that's how I've been going at it, and that's how it seems other people are going at it. So you don't really know where the end is going to be, but if you start digging and start asking and start trying and shifting, at some point you'll reach some other destination and you'll say, oh, well, I've gotten rid of most of it, and I didn't realize it would go that far, because it was just these small changes that got there.
Yeah. Well, it's just like what I say with health. You know, people have to take their responsibility for their own health. People have to take responsibility for their financial well-being. And you can't just say, oh, I'm going to let the guy at the bank take care of it for me, because
Right.
as we've
Just
discussed...
like you can't let the doctor take care of it for you. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, we have to take responsibility. Who else is going to do it? Okay, Joe, so now, is there anything else you want to let people know? We're going to give, your contact information, if we touched on all the points that you wanted to get across.
Yeah.
today.
That's,
Okay.
the main thing is just find out what you're getting.
Well,
Yeah.
and cut out the
know.
middleman. That's pretty much what you're doing. You're cutting out the excess stuff and really just getting what you pay for, right? That's what I think you're saying.
And knowing what you pay for.
Plus, you also have that you can develop a relationship, because it's much easier to build that relationship with one person than this huge institution,
Exactly.
right?
Okay, Joe, so if there's people out there, maybe they want to follow up and get some more information, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, my website is the easiest, joetheinvestor.ca. And there's an email, there's a phone number on there, on the Contact Us page. That has all I'm on the social media too, so I have Facebook and I have Twitter, and so whatever method people want, it's there.
Right, but I guess they can start at the website and go from there. And do you have your episodes up on the website?
They're on the
as well?
website, on the
Awesome.
media appearances.
The cute.
The liquid lunches are on there. I've got everything that has ever been done on there, so
Lots of good stuff, lots of
there's
great
a lot.
Advice.
There's a lot of
conversation,
writing.
so people can get a sense of your expertise by checking out some of those videos as well. So
Finally,
thanks, Joe.
finance is trying to get some integrity. The whole world of money.
Everything's getting more integritous because
Integrity-driven?
of people like Joe, because of what Tamara's doing,
Yep.
because of what we're all doing here, and we're going to actually just take a little break now. We got Martyre coming on the show in just a couple of minutes. We got a couple videos here.
Okay,
Why
what are
don't
we
we
watching?
watch? Let's watch the one, "The Cold is the Day," because today's kind of cold,
Today is really cold.
and then we'll come back with Mark as Liquid Lunch continues. We'll be right back.
1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Well, I threw off the bowlines. I sailed away from the safe harbor. I caught the trade winds in my sails, and I was about to turn in. Those waves raised my pen, and the rain turned to hail. And where the lights burned out, I saw your eyes and your mouth. I knew what I was sailing towards, 'cause it was a cold day when I met you, dear. And it's been warmer than ever before. And the wild waters crashed, and the music tore at my chest. I wish I could write you something real slow, but I can't seem to capture, to describe your laughter, your presence and your glow. And the world's so hard to bear without you there. I close my eyes and I hear your voice. 'Cause it was a cold day when I met you, dear. It's been warmer than ever before. So let smoke clear out of your window tonight, and let the moon shine over your bed. And just know that I'm under the very same moon, the thoughts of you dancing in my head. Being with you is not impossible. It's still worth sailing towards. 'Cause it was a cold day when I met you, dear. And it's been warmer than ever before. Yeah, it was a cold day when I met you, dear. It's been warmer than ever before.
All right, we're back here on the show, and that was the video "Cold Was the Day" from Martyre, and from this CD right here, London. And we got Mark joining us here on Liquid Lunch. And Mark, good to see you again.
Yeah, great to be back.
Nice to see ya.
Yeah,
How you been?
not too bad. Keeping busy.
Doing lots. I see you got a whole new CD.
Yeah, did that this past summer, recorded in the summer, and just finished it a couple weeks ago, came out a couple weeks ago, and yeah, I'm relieved about
When
that.
was the last time he was here? When were you last here?
Was it January or last December?
Something like
that. After the last album came out, so about a year ago, I guess.
Yeah. Now, this album is called London, which is, you know, of course, most people, except for us here in Ontario,
Sure.
when we think London, we think about that great big city over in England.
Yeah.
But this is...
But there was another one.
But we know about a different London. And in fact, your album's called London, and there's a picture on it, and which is an old railway station. There it is. And Mark, can you just tell us the story of this album, how it came to be, and why you call it London?
Well, I lived in London in this past summer, and that's where it was recorded.
London, Ontario.
London, Ontario.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you were mentioning, a lot of people assume it's London, England, or that's the first thing they go to, and I don't mind that. But it is referencing London, Ontario, I guess. But in terms of calling it London, I didn't say, like, I'm going to move there, I'm going to call it. I didn't really think about it that far. I just figured it was a timeless name. You know, it's one of those titles that doesn't say anything, but it says a lot at the same time.
It sure does.
Plus, it's keeping it real, because you actually, I'm assuming London, the city of London, Ontario, was the context in which
absolutely
most of this material emerged.
For sure,
right?
Yeah.
And no, where are you from originally?
Toronto.
Toronto. Okay. So why did you go to London?
No reason particular. I mean, I wanted to get out of the city for a while, so I mean, I could have gone anywhere. You know, I could have gone to a lot of different places, and London just kind of ended up being the
place?
Destination.
How did that come to be? How did it come to be London? Do you know somebody who lives in London?
I know people. I know other
studio?
musicians. I know people. People. So I know, but again, like that is true for Hamilton. It's true for Kitchener. It's true for a lot of places in Ontario.
Huh.
Just sort of happened that it would be London, but and I'm glad it was.
How was London? I've only been to
great.
London like 2 or 3 times, if you can believe it.
I can believe it, but
hey, it's a nice.
yeah,
it's
nice.
Nice
It's a good size.
It
I
is.
liked it, and it was a nice summer spent there.
Yeah,
a lot of parks.
Did you stay with some friends, or did you stay on a park bench, or?
A little bit of everything, I guess. A little bit of column A, column
Because
B.
you have to. I mean, especially with the picture of the CD, I could just see you kind of sleeping on the bench in front of that railroad track, and with your guitar in the summer, and
sure.
And that would be the way it goes, and recording it some old wooded shack somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, if it comes across and sounds like that, then all even better. It's even better.
So where was it recorded?
It was recorded in like a studio, like a home studio.
They've actually got studios in London.
Yeah, but I mean, in my head, it was an old train station. So.
Well, why don't you take us to that old train station right now, Mark, and maybe play us a tune.
Yeah, I'll do that.
You kind of do look like you're a throwback from the past. You know, you kind of have that feel about you.
Well, I hope this. Thank you. And I'll do one from the album. It's called "Window of a Train," so it sort of seems applicable to what we've been talking about. Steam rises at the station, and books fall in the wind. A thin smokiness is left from the rains, and I see it all from the window of a train. And scratching never helps the itch. Those birds will never land, and the snow will cover the golden plain, and I see it all from the window of a train. Umbrellas carried across the stone, and girls dancing in the sun. Farmhouse calls out from the top of its vein, and I see it all from the window of a train. They're drinking the evening half light, and they're
running down the stairs. And I wanna be somewhere between Paris and Spain, looking out the window of a train. And I lean my head against the glass, look at how those rivers pass. And I see my dreams float out to the ridge, into the cities and over the bridge. I think of you as those tracks roll by, clouds come and go across the sky. And I had to leave, but you must remain. But I'll see you soon from the window of a train. Don't know where I'm going, I don't know when I'll get there, but this breeze is blowing just the same, and I feel it against the window of a train. And the breeze will blow regardless, whether I'm in France or Italy or Spain. But I can see my dreams in the middle of the day when I look out the window of a train. Looking out the window of a train. I'm looking out the window of a train.
Very nice, Mark. Very nice.
It's so funny because your voice does not match what you look like.
Talking about that last time.
I know. As soon as you opened your mouth, I'm like, yes, I remember that. Oh my God, it's not at all what you expect. And you are a throwback from the past.
In a good way, I hope.
Yes, very, very much. So I think you're a reincarnation of I don't know who, but.
Do you think you're reincarnated?
Don't.
You don't?
Let's talk about that.
Maybe if
I don't think I have much to say about it.
Maybe if Charlie Chaplin kind of did music, that might be you.
Okay. I'll have to take your word for it.
Oh,
Yeah,
Tom Waits, yes.
Name just mentioned, yeah.
Yes, actually
Very
much
much
so.
still alive, though.
Yes, he
Very
is.
much
Yes,
alive.
yes.
So not reincarnated.
Wow.
So,
that was beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was really nice. Are you finding? Well, first of all, because I like when you did the record, did you do it? Because that sounded so great. Just you performing with the guitars,
Sure.
Low, you know, just
low key.
Just low key. Like, did you
Stripped
have
down, yeah.
Stripped down? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have a band or other instruments on the
It's
record?
similar to the last one in the sense that some songs have more instrumentation than others. This song, for example, has just a bass player and someone just playing like a slide guitar on it. But so it's very, very simple, and other songs might have a bit more. But for the most part, it isn't really overly produced or overly.
That's not really your style, right?
No, it's not, and it just. I mean, just for the types of songs that I wrote and that I want to put on the album, they wouldn't really suit that sort of instrumentation or that sort of production. So.
I mean, that song just now sounded just perfect. I mean,
Yes,
really just
yes,
set
it
the
didn't need
tone,
anything.
The mood of the room
Yeah.
here. I think we all just kind of
Sure.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate
relaxed
that.
and enjoyed it. Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of the songs that I play them, obviously I perform them live, and when I want to put them on record, I don't want there to be such a huge gap between
Yes.
what you hear on the record and what you hear live. At the same time, it is a more polished version of it, or it is supposedly the definitive version of that song is what you hear on the album.
But you don't want anybody to be shocked by going
yeah.
home and listening to the CD and saying, "Was that the same guy
that
I
I
just
saw
saw?"
in concert, or if I like the CD and then they think I'm seeing me live, and
That's true.
I don't
Yes.
want them to have the
Yes.
same sort of shock,
Yes.
where the surprise. So I don't. I think I'm able to pull it off. So I hope anyway. But.
Wow.
Well, you pulled that one off.
That
for
was
sure.
beautiful, yeah.
And I'm taking it these are all your own compositions
Yeah.
on the CD?
Yeah.
Very nice.
So you're planning on doing a tour?
Yes.
Starting in the new year.
In the new year, yeah. Just right now, just Ontario, southwestern Ontario is booked, like Ottawa through London. And,
And how long over that time?
Just like probably starts mid-January. January 12th is the first one here in Toronto, and then to the end of February. And then that's about it. And then now
that's a long time. That's 6 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, there's some gaps in between, like, you know, so I'll do
Okay.
like Ontario a bit, and then I'll stop, then I'll go to Ottawa for a bit, and then I'll, you know, do that kind of thing. And then March, and after that maybe Quebec and the East Coast, but I haven't really planned.
Make
that
sure the
far ahead
weather's
yet.
good.
Have you done the East Coast before?
I haven't.
So that's
That'd be
or
exciting.
Quebec. Have you played?
No.
Yeah. So how do you set that up? I mean, do you get an agent?
No, for me it's just, you know, phone calls and emails.
Yeah.
And just doing it that
And
way.
do you find that people are receptive that way, Mark?
I don't know any other way. So if there's more way to have them be more receptive, I'm open to that. But this is all I know, so I kind of go with it, you know. And hope it
Thank
works out.
God for email, so you don't have to call all the time.
Well, sometimes
or
you
even
have to,
Skype,
but-
even Skype, because that would be really expensive to be calling all these places.
Sure.
How do you even get the names of these places?
I mean, a lot of times if it's a venue, I mean, you can find it online. You can
Okay,
find
so
it.
you do a lot of research on your own.
And then also other musicians, you know, they have contacts, or they've played at a place, and
Okay.
you just have a
Kinda.
network of people that you know.
No, I'm just curious. Did you? Is there any songs on this record that stand out as like a hit or a single?
I don't think so.
No.
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
So
I
you
mean,
don't
not for me
write
anyway.
for hits, Mark, or
No.
But you know, sometimes you write a song and you go, "Oh, this
That's
is a
it.
really
That's
good
it.
one."
I hope they're all
Right?
like that. Well, I hope they're all good ones, you know.
Okay.
So that's my
so what
answer to
kind of radio station do you think would play your type of music?
that. I don't know. I mean,
like pop, like
no, I don't think so. I don't know. It's played on like college stations, played on
Okay.
internet radio stations. Indie 88 just kind of
Okay.
got kicked up in here in Toronto, so hopefully it's something that
Awesome.
it would fit their programming. But I don't know. I don't really think that far ahead, like thinking
Okay.
like this is going to be suited for this, and then I'll write it.
Mark,
for
you are a
that.
true musician.
I think that's the way to do it, though, because if you start writing for some imaginary other person
Yes.
that you're trying to
Yeah.
imagine they're going to like this and that, versus just writing from your heart and letting people.
Well, I mean, some people are really good at that, and I'm not, and I know that I'm not. So, I mean, it's credit to those people that can say, I want to, you know, those are the real songwriters, you know, the ones who are like the professional, you know, back in, we were talking about, you know, older times, the Tin Pan Alley, those kinds of brill building songwriters where they're just like, I'm writing a hit, I'm writing you a Christmas song, I'm writing you
Wow.
a song for whatever, and they're
Formula.
able to do that, and I can't do that, and I've never tried to do that, so.
Maybe you can then.
If
You
I
just
could,
never tried.
maybe I
Maybe you're
would,
not
but
interested.
I kind of do my own thing. And
So are you
for better or for
happy?
worse.
are you happy with the final product?
I am.
Okay,
very much.
that's important.
Yeah,
Would you do one more song for us?
absolutely.
We'd love to hear it. Because the last one sounded so good.
So quaint.
What's this one you wanted?
I think I'll do this one's That Red Dress, which is also.
See, every song title that I look at could actually be, I could visualize that being on the train.
I never thought about it that way.
Really, because you have I Never Knew, you have Goodbye. These are all songs that could actually be, if you're taking a train ride from across Canada, every single one could be related to that.
That just blew my mind. In this empty afternoon, my mind drifts towards you. Sitting with this whiskey and beer, and wishing that you were here. And I'll be taking that Greyhound bus
down the road that stretches between us. And tell me, is this all a test? Tell me, will you be wearing that red dress? And I've cut the fat off my soul. And I've carried more lies than I can hold. But this mutiny won't be complete until I've swept you off of your feet. And our roaring 20s are gone, and all that's left of my heart is in this song. And all we have left is this mess. So tell me, will you be wearing that red dress? Well, I lifted off the mat for another round. And I wonder if you'd heard that sound. But it was so hard to face that wind. So I went back to the bar, and then you walked in. And the room lit up as you walked the floor. You sat beside me and said he'll have one more. Well, I fell for you right away, I must confess. Or maybe it was because of that red dress. So tell me, will you be wearing that red dress?
Very nice.
It's
Mark.
beautiful.
I could just tell you, it's perfect music for like a rainy trash can ringing day.
I don't know what trash can ringing, but I'm thinking even in a cold, you know, in a nice little cafe somewhere where there's a fireplace and having, yeah,
This
that's
is a nice promo for the tour. I'll like, clip this out. I'll send it to the various venues and see if
Yeah.
people will come
Yeah,
out.
because you're doing the tour in winter.
Exactly.
Which is,
and in a couple cafes.
At least you're not doing Northern Ontario. You're doing Southern Ontario.
Southern Ontario, yeah.
That's.
although they can get snow there too.
I know, but it's not 35 below.
No,
It's
this
only
is
like
true.
20 below. Well, Mark, so it's you know what? I really can't wait to listen to this CD because great vibe here this afternoon.
Yeah,
So thank you for coming out.
Just where's your first gig in Toronto?
It's this cafe. It's called Full of Beans, January 12th. It's on Dundas West. Dundas and Ossington?
Okay.
Dufferin area.
Full of Beans, okay. So if you guys
January
want to hear
12th.
them live, and he sounds, I think the CD is going to sound just like this.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And then, no, do you have the itinerary on your website or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that?
So if you go to the website, and then from there you can link to.
Nice, okay.
And you could buy the CD there as well?
Yeah, there's
I'm
a
assuming,
links
a
there.
link.
It's in a few stores in the city, and it's also on iTunes, and so you can go to the website and there's all that.
Okay, great.
Info.
And what is the website?
It's my name, markmartyre.com.
Mark Martyre.
Perfect. Mark, great to see you again. Thank
Nice
you so
to
much.
see you. I
Thanks
guess
for
we'll be
the
seeing
CD.
you again next year with a new CD.
We'll see, yeah.
We'll see.
We'll
Maybe
see.
this will be the bus stop or something.
Sure, yeah.
In Sarnia.
I'll call it Sarnia.
You know, we're going to watch another video from the CD, the next song, right? So we're going to do that now, and
Which was the next stop.
exactly, and then we're going to come back with Linda Pinizzotto as Liquid Lunch continues. We'll be right back.
When you walk through a cloud, well, everything is a blur. And the best thing to do is not be false with her. Sometimes a mask, it's more important than a face, 'cause it's the only way to get through that place. And if you really want to know how it felt all along, then you'll just have to wait till the next song. What you lose in the fire, well, it will be gone for good. So keep your thoughts away from the crackling wood. And I feel so tired. There's no life in these bones. I feel so strange to call anything my own. And I can't be a part of any group where I don't belong. And I'll try to explain it in the next song. In this climate and landscape, it seems polluted and sick. Books are only covers, and volumes aren't as thick. So where did you expect to go when you can't see any bit of the road. And for me, I know that my road will be long, and I'll tell you all about it in the next song. I can't be measured by your gauge, and I keep crying these tears of rage. And maybe everything that I've done is wrong. Maybe I could redeem myself in the next song.
Government is monitoring private phone calls, your children and my children's private phone calls, and tracking who their associates are.
This June, we learned that our private lives are no longer private. The U.S. government is secretly tracking the emails, purchases, text messages, location, and phone calls of people all over the world.
Ed Rooney.
Ann, this is George Peterson.
With code names like PRISM and X-Keyscore, this network of monitoring programs is just one part of the largest surveillance system in history. This open-ended surveillance system is illegal and operates in total secrecy. Under this system, the government can know where you've been, where you are, and where you're going. The program was only exposed when former NSA contractor Edward Snowden leaked documents detailing the extensive data collection.
I've got information, man. New shit has come to light.
The president, the NSA, and their lawyers have tried to deflect public outrage by distorting the facts and misleading the public about the process. U.S. courts have never allowed the government to run a spying program of this scale. So how did this happen? Well, let's take a step back for a minute. America's founders hated oppressive British surveillance and unreasonable search and seizure.
The issue here is independence.
Understanding that privacy was necessary to almost every basic right in our Constitution, they established the Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment exists to prevent the government from tracking or searching your personal information unless they have good reason to believe a crime is happening.
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal.
Using the NSA, the U.S. government is violating the highest law of the country, the Constitution. Government surveillance has gone on for decades, but things got a lot worse in 2001 when the U.S. Congress passed the Patriot Act, giving secret FISA courts more authority to grant surveillance requests on a large scale. Instead of getting a warrant for an individual person suspected of a crime, the government could now search a large list of persons, even those under no suspicion of criminal activity. FISA courts aren't required to disclose what court orders are being approved, and supporting evidence isn't needed.
Of the 1,789 requests for authorization, one was withdrawn by the government. All the other ones were granted.
It's a rubber stamp.
It's a rubber stamp.
All of this is protected by secrecy, with no system for checks and balances. If the NSA is collecting information on you based on what you read or the websites you go to, you'll likely never know or get to stop it, no matter who you are. Programs like PRISM completely ignore the purpose of warrants while claiming to work within the law. The U.S. government has turned the internet we love into something it was never intended to be, a tool for surveilling everyone.
promo event manager, Nikki Hayes.
Nikki
Perfect.
Hayes.
It's all about how you look.
How you look, baby?
And we have super awesome, good-looking Linda Pinizzotto joining us here.
No pressure.
No pressure.
But you do.
Who is the founder and president of the Condo Owners Association of Ontario, right, Linda?
Yes, absolutely.
And we've had you on the show before, and we always enjoy our conversations. But you're also the government relations chair of the Mississauga Real Estate Board.
That's right.
And you're on the committee for the Toronto Real Estate Board, right?
I gotta tell you, boy, Mississaugans are very, very lucky to have you. You are one passionate lady.
She's doing it for all of Ontario.
Now,
All of
I guess
Ontario.
because she's so much in demand.
Well, you know, a lot of things happen because what happens at local level of real estate, and a lot of people don't realize it, but it's actually the government relations committees and the chairs at all the local levels of real estate that make a difference at provincial and federal level. So we work with the Ontario Real Estate Association and the Canadian Real Estate Association. So
and
the
you
next
speak
time,
for the common person, though, right? This is who you're voicing for the regular person who is buying a condo.
Oh, absolutely. Like on the Condo Owners Association. There's a bit, actually, it's kind of interesting because there is an overlap with the two of them, and that's why now the Ontario Real Estate Association is also getting involved with submitting recommendations to the minister regarding the Condo Act. And so, you know, it's interesting because when you think about real estate, you know, sometimes people think, well, if you're lobbying for real estate, it's because you're a realtor and it's real estate. But on the provincial governance side, it's about the homeowners protection plans, increasing, you know, like changing brownfield properties as far as developing them, making sure that they're clean. Brownfield properties are toxic waste properties that cannot be built on because they need to be cleaned. And not to get off subject, but if a builder wants to come in and clean those properties, they would be paying regular tax dollars on their property taxes, which really wouldn't be working very well because why would they want to pay regular tax dollars on property tax when meanwhile they can't develop it until it's cleaned? So the Real Estate Association stepped forward and we lobbied government to change that so that there would be a tax exemption and therefore the properties can get cleaned up. But those are the type of things that, you know, AREA and Korea and local government relations chairs get involved in, which actually long-term helps consumers and it helps the general public. And now, of course, it's the Condominium Act.
And let's talk about that because you created the Condo Owners Association of Ontario, and of course the condo sector is growing, and it seems more and more of people when they're considering buying a home, they are thinking condos, and it's
far more affordable. It's just affordable.
It's more affordable because we have to grow vertically, right? So it's like this is a kind of a new thing for people, right? And so it seems to me that if there's a legislative framework for this, it has to mature along with the market, and you're involved intimately in this whole procedure, aren't you?
I am, you know, Hugh, I'm so glad that you said a key word there, mature, at the same time as the market. That hasn't happened. Do you know that while we've had all this construction going on, okay, so if you take 2002, when things started to explode, so 2005, 2006, do you know that our Condominium Act is 1998? It's 14 years old, over a decade.
With no changes?
With no changes. No changes,
so
and certainly not
matured.
anything viable that, you know, because there's problems with new construction, there's problem with existing buildings. I mean, unfortunately, our government has just left it aside while all this construction has gone on, and now taxpayers and the consumer, not necessarily even condo owners, are paying the price.
Yeah, and you know what, I think about it, and I think about some of these situations where you've got to manage a capital pool that's going to address maintenance concerns as these condo buildings age, and I think at some point, if these things aren't managed properly, there's going to be a huge disaster, and that disaster is going to be borne either by the condo owners themselves or by the taxpayer, ultimately.
Well, I would love to say that that hasn't been the case, but unfortunately we're there right now. There are a substantial amount of condominiums out there that, you know, the value of the building is $200,000. Say, for instance, their unit is $200,000. And unfortunately, the owners are getting hit with maintenance fees that are $650, $700, $800. I looked at one today. Oh my God, I couldn't believe that one. I lost track of time with that one. And $350,000 purchase, the maintenance fee was $950 a month, just for maintenance fee, and it does include hydro.
So let me ask you, Linda, why would anybody do that if they can just buy an apartment and then just, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me if you're going to, are you better off to invest your money elsewhere?
No, you know, people, see, the key thing is people nowadays, they need a place to live.
Right.
You know, and home ownership is a dream. So we're not trying to hurt the dream. We're trying to help the dream. We're trying to enhance it and protect the dream. And that's what we're hoping that our provincial government will do. Start protecting the dream of home ownership. And certainly the people that are owning right now, but also, you know, the condo buyers. Because everything that's new right now is going to be resale around the corner. And they're going to basically experience the exact same problems. The minister has already, in the Condo Act review, maybe if I could, you know, throw some light onto it.
Yeah, because just to give a little bit of background. So the Act's 14 years old or whatever, and now they're looking at making some revisions to it. And they've reviewed it, and you've been part of that process, right?
Absolutely. We've been, COA was, I founded it in March of 2010. And after lobbying and advocating for condo owners' rights very heavily, in June 2012, the McGuinty government announced Building a Better Condo Act, which was the beginning stages of the review. And to top that off, if you actually type in Condo Owners Association Build a Better Condo Act, we are right on the provincial government website. So it's been a tremendous honor to get that far in such a short period of time.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Except there's some problems.
Well, that's the
right?
problem.
So let's talk about that and why haven't all your concerns been addressed?
Well, put it this way. When the Condo Owners Association and our participants walked in to the room on stage 1, there were 9 participants in the room. And at that time, we held a strong voice because of the amount of people involved. Okay. And going through the first stage, we addressed a lot of concerns that weren't really even topics of conversation which concerned us. In particular, we'll hit one, which was licensing of property management companies. We found that the general consensus in the room, which over 95% are service-related trades, which may have a conflict of interest considering that they're dealing directly for profit levels in the whole condo world, we're very anxious to only push that licensing towards property managers as opposed to property management companies. The concern that COA had is the fact that the managers are only employees. You know, they make, you know, $50,000, $60,000 a year, and it's their job to keep the board of directors happy so that they don't lose the contract on behalf of their property management company. But it's their company that has the contract. It's their company that may be doing the financials as far as the bookkeeping and so on of the corporation.
And it's their company they're loyal to as opposed to the residents in the building.
Right, and the board of directors, because they are the ones that are going to say, okay, Bob, you know, we like the way you're working here on behalf of ABC Property Management Company, so we're going to keep your contract. So the problem is that the fact that the property management company is not licensed is a huge detriment to condo owners because of, you know, maybe there's a lack of governance, maybe there's a transparency issue. The comment that came in the room that time, it shocked me. The comment was, well, Linda, we don't represent the condo owners, we represent the board.
Wow.
And that told me everything I needed to know right from
what
that
does what does that tell you? Because the board,
that tells you they wish they could take it back.
Wait, I'm trying to think this through, Linda.
Yes.
And the boards are really run by or elected by the condo owners, right?
Exactly. And the condo boards have a fiduciary responsibility to look after the affairs of the corporation in a proper business-like fashion, and also have transparency and governance to follow the Condominium Act. However, the Condominium Act is self-governed. It's not like you go on the highway and you're speeding and you get a traffic ticket, and now all of a sudden you have to you're now in non-compliance to the Traffic Act, right? Because the Traffic Act has fines. Right. Health and Safety Act has fines. The Accessibility Act, it has fines. So, but the Condominium Act, which affects 1.3 million lives does not have any fine, and it's completely self-governed. So if you're a condo board member and you don't feel like following it and you want to close the door because you really don't care what the condo owners are saying, and you've got overpriced contracts, you've got kickbacks, you've got forgery of proxies, who's going to stop you?
So how would it work in your ideal world then? Because you would kind of, wouldn't you, have to build a level of bureaucracy here that needs to be paid for, and bureaucracy has its own problems, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I think the key thing is right off the bat, property management companies need to be as licensed as well as property management, property managers. I mean, both of them. And that licensing fee should not be the responsibility of a condo owner. It should be the responsibility of the trade. Any type of educational process that those property managers, there's been some disagreement with the fact that statements were made that the property managers, some of them didn't have good qualifications. Well, then you got to wonder, why is any company hiring property managers without qualifications and giving them to an $80 million building?
But on the other hand, I mean, these, no, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking that the property managers, they're hired, are they not by the board?
Property managers are delegated by what happens is the property management company gets the contract. And then what they do is they delegate a property manager. But if the board of directors doesn't like that property manager, they will ask for another one to be appointed to the building.
Right. What process do they have to go through in order to get rid of the property management company?
Most contracts on property managements are 30 or 60-day cancellation, no different from any other contract that you would have, whether it be security or cleaners or any kind of energy management contracts through the building. Generally speaking, most condominium buildings don't contract condo lawyers. They use them as a pay-for-services type of structure. But on a contract, if a condo board wasn't happy with the property management company, then what they would do is they would relieve them of their contract. If they didn't like their property manager, then they would call the company. They would call the company and say, "Look, give us a different property manager."
Okay, so why?
Right.
Okay, I'm going to be the devil's advocate here a
Okay.
little bit, but why would these boards are presumably acting on behalf of the condo owners because they're elected by the condo owners, and they're going to hire a company, whether or not they're licensed, but they're going to hire a company, a property management company. They're going to hire the best one they can, you would think, for whatever money they have available.
Well, that's what you would, in a perfect world, you would hope that would happen. And in most cases, condominium fees should not be going up any more than maybe the cost of living every year. But some buildings are going up incredibly high. And the problem is that during our review process, we've already identified that there's a disconnect with property managers and board of directors on one side of the puzzle, and on the other side is the condo owners, where condo owners are asking for copies of minutes, they don't receive them. They're asking for explanations on condo budgets, they don't receive them.
So why is this happening, though? Because those boards are elected by the members, and so why is there a disconnect? Presumably they are also condo owners.
Absolutely, but they control the office. So if they want to shut down that information, then if you as a condo owner, Hugh, think about it. You live in a condo building, you've been there for a number of years, you look at your financials, and you see that your maintenance fees are really going high, and you can't justify it anywhere. Granted, you have your annual general meeting. 40, 50 people show up at the meeting, even though there's 300 owners in the building. Nobody's really asking for accountability. And the board of directors is quite comfortable making their decisions. They're empowered by being a board. And now all of a sudden you start asking questions and they don't like the fact that you are, then how do you get answers?
Well, okay. Yes, okay, I can see that. And this is the whole problem.
That's the problem.
I mean, this is why condos are such a tricky way of doing home ownership, because you have to make those certain decisions collectively on the behalf of all the condo owners, and governance is always an issue. So how, will this problem be overcome? What is there?
Income's Linda.
I don't, just by licensing these companies,
well,
I'm not sure how that's going to, what are some of the other parts?
Yeah, that's only one part of the whole review. But if you're talking about accountability and governance, so your contracts should be, if you're contracting with a engineering company, they're licensed. If you're contracting with lawyers' firms, they're licensed. If you're contracting with plumbers, electricians, they're all licensed. So the bottom line is that the Ministry of Consumer Services need to put contracting of property management companies and property managers licensed.
So
Both
who
of them,
would
not just one.
license them?
That trade, and they can work on the particulars of that. But getting away from that, if you don't mind, is that I want to talk about the second phase. So that was in the first phase of the discussions. Okay, so then we moved on to the second phase.
Okay.
And COA was feeling at the second phase that we were actually making an impact of the recommendations on the table that would benefit condo owners. And it all has to do with consumer protection, accountability, more awareness, due disclosure, all these type of issues.
Okay.
Interesting enough, when we walked in the room on the second phase, all of a sudden there was 35 to 40 people in there and 95% service-related trades.
Wow.
Exactly. So now we became a minority voice, a tremendous minority voice, in a mechanism that was basically all self-consuming for the individual companies. And that was a huge concern because in the room we only had, and anybody today can go look at the panel and they will see, what they will see is they will see property management companies, condo lawyers, condo engineers, developers, you know, anything in the service-related trade.
So what happened there? So what happened? They got wind
I
that
think
you
they
guys
got
were...
concerned about
Yes,
COA.
yes,
Absolutely,
yes.
they got concerned about COA, and they need to jump it. They need to shut it down. And then there was a group called the Public Policy Forum, which was actually hired by the provincial government to oversee this engagement. And we submitted a complaint to them. We submitted a complaint to Premier Wynne. We submitted it to the Minister of Consumer Services, saying that we felt that this process was being tainted. And sure enough, then the Public Policy Forum decided not to put the Condo Owners Association into what's called is the expert panel. And who's the expert panel?
Okay.
And I'll explain, and you'll see where we're coming from. Is that there's 5 panels. One panel working group. One working group would have been consumer protection. The other one was property management. The other one was financials. The other one was governance. So all of these working groups would get together and talk about the issues at hand. The Condo Owners Association was involved with consumer protection. But at the same time, we had 2 condo lawyers who oversaw that working group, and we became a minority in that working group. The recommendations from that working group, along with the other working groups, went to the expert panel, who had no representation for condo owners, and those are the representations and the recommendations that are being put on the table today, which
So there
means
was
condo
no-
owners have been totally left out in right field.
Okay, so...
Wow, that's really, really important.
It's disappointing.
What is not being then included in this in the recommendations for the next Condo Act?
Well, it's hard. It's such a complicated. The Condominium Act is so complicated, and it's hard to just zero into that. But here's a key thing, if I could mention, and I'll read it from you from one of our. For instance, rather than having members, because if you think about condominiums, okay, it's not just about service-related trades. It's about how people live their lifestyle and what other aspects affect living in condominiums. Okay, so for instance, on new development, Terrion, right? N-Wave, the cost of hydro on condos is unbelievable. 1/3 of their budget today is hydro. So you would think a representative of N-Wave should have been involved in this review to talk about that. How about fire prevention? Do you know how much money the condominium, every time the fire alarm is pulled, you're talking $1,000, never mind fire prevention inside the building itself. Some of these, what about safety, life safety systems within the building? No representative from them were involved. Ontario Municipal Board, OMB is overriding decisions nonstop on height restrictions across the city, and people are combating why certain buildings are being torn down, heritage buildings are being torn down. Electrical Safety Authority, huge, because the minute you start doing retrofitting, you're compromising your electrical power in the building. Police Association, the police know exactly what's going on in so many different buildings across the city. They're right at the forefront.
So what are you saying? These groups should be involved?
Yeah, they all should have had input. Nobody had input. I'll go further. Ontario Heritage Association, the Fire Safety Association, the Accountant Association, Canadian Financial Officers. They're the ones that have to put mortgaging on these properties. How about Municipal Property Assessment Corporation? How they're determining how they're putting taxes. I mean, you're paying taxes for sky. You don't have land. Insurance brokers. Do you know how much trouble it is nowadays to get insurance on some of these condo buildings? And do you know what the deductibles are? They're insane. You could get an insurance policy that's got $100,000 as a deductible. It depends on how many claims. It depends on fault. It depends on risk. It's huge. It's so bombarded. Representatives of ratepayers associations. Every single ratepayers in the area should have had an invitation to be part of this review.
What's a ratepayer?
A ratepayer is community groups that have got together that are concerned about their community and issues that are happening in their community.
Yeah,
so they have their
makes sense.
finger on the pulse
Absolutely.
on that community. And then, to be honest with you, we talked a little bit about different acts where there's fining. Health and Safety Act, a representative. Do you know that there's people in the building that are hoarders? You could have a unit that blows up and you haven't dealt with Health and Safety Act. Planning, building, zoning, occupational,
How about even
energy efficiency.
How about even, and I think this is a big thing with condos, a lot of international
big time, big time
buyers, and so you're really, which is really inflating. It's lowering the value. Well, I guess it's increasing the value. I guess because you're having these international buyers who are renting them out, right?
Well, there's a mixed thing. We put it on the table. We were concerned about short-term leasing. Some people have websites now that you can literally rent a condominium apartment for 2 days on a weekend. So they're teaching it like it's a hotel. So it compromises your safety in the building, compromises your security, and now all of a sudden it also impacts the longevity of our hotels. I mean, hotels and restaurants, they depend on that money to survive and give us that entity of our economy. So you can't have that if you've got a lot of, and what if you have over 50% of out-of-country investors that own in your building? Then what?
Are there some buildings that have that?
Possibly, absolutely.
Those ones right behind us.
Wow.
So, you know, the point...
That is very scary.
That's the reason why that if the ministry was going to move forward with a Condo Act review, it is not about just listening to service-related trades that make an income on the buildings themselves and may have a conflict of interest. It's about identifying the whole mechanism of how condominiums work and how many things will affect what you said, Hugh, vertical buildings.
Well, you need to get all the stakeholders involved, right?
Absolutely.
But it seems to me, I
Go
just got to
ahead,
say this, but the people with the biggest stake are the condo owners themselves.
Thank you.
Right?
Yes,
That's
And do you want to hear a shocker?
Everything should center around them.
You're 100% right. And the ministry, ministry put out a what they call as a residence panel. And they randomly chose 36 people to be part of a residence panel out of 1.3 million condo owners. They didn't ask for prerequisites of knowledge.
Okay.
And some of those were actually tenants. And there was a board president who I spoke to the residence panel. I was one of the speakers. And he admitted in front of the entire panel about how he has to forge proxies because otherwise he wouldn't be able to move forward with his quorum. And he was on the residence panel.
So what's to me that says that the condo owners themselves, there's a high level of apathy among them, and they're just not involved in their own well-being in terms of their homes and what they need to do.
Well, I think they're discouraged because they've probably tried and hit a wall.
In their buildings they have. You know, chances are in their buildings they have, and then unless they want to move forward and hire a lawyer. But I sat at a Superior Court trial, and one condo owner, because COA, we get people, I mean, they just have to register. It's $20 a year starting January 1st. And, you know, and they can support the Condo Owners Association, which is what condo owners have to do. And it's just coaontario.com. And we went to court just to help a condo owner who decided to challenge the board. And unfortunately, she now had to turn back her keys to the bank.
Why? What
and
happened?
it was disgusting. What had happened was a group of vigilante people in the building who decided that they wanted to overthrow a good board. Now comes the reverse. This was a good board, okay? They decided that they're going to bring their own lawyer. There was a dozen of them. They came into the AGM. They forced their lawyer to take over the AGM that night.
How did they do that?
I don't know. That's insane. I don't even understand how it happened. It's unfortunate that she didn't call us before, because we got in on the later part of it all. She actually did come on my condo expert radio show, because I started a radio show to talk about condo issues, and people call in and so on. And the sad part about it is that the judge at Superior Court wasn't sure if he could change the decision of the acting lawyer who just showed up at that AGM and wasn't even hired by the corporation. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen, and it was sad.
Okay, Linda. So the act is still being looked at, and it's they're going to put a new act together. And I don't know. I mean, it just sounds like there are so many issues that, and if you're a condo owner, you need to be concerned about it. What can people do, really?
Well, the big thing that they can do now is join the Condo Owners Association. If you think about it, the strength of the teachers' associations, if you think about the strength of ACTRA,
the power of the people,
or the NHLPA, or any type of associations that are out there, whether it be for lawyers and doctors, accountants and nurses and so on, if they didn't have an association, they would not be able to have a strength of a united voice. And condo owners need to understand that it's not just about their unit. It's not even just almost about their building. It's about the entire governance and structure of the Provincial Condo Act, which means that you need a governing association to help you.
And it's for $20 a year.
Yeah.
Year.
That's it.
I mean.
Well, this is it. And, we're moving into stage 3. They actually had, in last-minute notice, notified us that they were going to have a meeting this evening. But, now we're in Christmas holidays, 2 weeks away from Christmas. And, and to be honest with you, I think moving into stage 3 is going to be interesting. If people want to take a look at all of the submissions, COA we have submitted so many submissions with recommendations.
So is this stuff all on your website?
It's all on the website. We've got so much information for condo owners on the website, and we have ThatChannel, and this is going to be on the website as well. And because it's people can't grasp it. It's so complex that they can't grasp it immediately. It takes time for them to get it, and that's why we need a lot of exposure out there so people will truly understand that the issue goes beyond just their building and even just their unit.
Well, I just think that it's great that you, Linda, you've taken on this challenge. You saw the need. You took the step to create the Condo Owners Association, and now and you're putting so much into it, so much expertise, so much work into trying to lobby the government to create a legislative framework that's going to actually serve condo owners. And you're doing this on behalf of all the condo owners in Ontario. So I think if people are watching this and they're condo owners, they should check out the website at least and have a look at the work that you're doing, and seriously consider supporting the organization, because you're acting on their behalf. And I'm sure you could use their help too.
Oh, big time. Well, what's funny too is that we opened the door. I don't know if you know, but CBC did a documentary called the Condo Game. And Lionel Goddard, the director, he got in touch with us in June. And he came all the way to the radio station. He actually got us involved in the movie, in the documentary. But it was more geared about new construction and all the problems with new construction with the falling glass, and the fact that long-term sustainability of these buildings could be a challenge down the road. And, we were really honored to be part of that documentary. But that shows you how well recognized and respected COA is. And I think, Hugh, what you're saying, we really sincerely appreciate your shout out for us, because, we've done absolutely everything to be on the right side for condo owners. And that long-term sustainability doesn't just affect condo owners. See, if somebody has a house, a single-family detached house, okay, they can't sell their house unless those condos are selling. So it affects our economy, it affects our whole overview of real estate. Anything to do is, all the way through, because it's a domino effect.
Yeah.
And I don't think people understand that. I think people think, oh, I own a house, I don't have to worry, I can shut my ears off. And you're saying that's not the case.
No, it's not the case, because they have to understand. And not only that, you've got the seniors who are downsizing. They're on a restricted income. They can't afford their maintenance fees. So now what? I mean, they can't sell their property because there's very little value in it now. Where they're going to move to?
Yeah, you got to keep those maintenance fees as low as possible. Otherwise, what are you buying?
That's the problem. You got it.
You're paying a whole bunch of money, and then you're paying
That's
more
what I'm saying.
rent.
For those seniors, they could just go into an apartment, pay the same price, and not have to worry about. And in some ways, the apartments offer more rights because the city is now involved, and the condo are playing God. The condo board gets to play God.
That's right.
And so that seems like a real discrepancy there.
Well, you got it. And then, too, on top of it, now you have your provincial government saying, oh, we need affordable housing. We're not going to build any more apartment buildings because we need affordable housing. So now the builders are stepping in and they're saying, okay, fine, you can buy a unit for $200,000. Affordable housing, they're dropping the square footage.
Oh, it's
They're
ridiculous.
matchboxes. They're 450 square feet.
Yeah.
And do you want to hear a key thing that we brought on the table at the Condo Act review that got shut down real quick? What? The public doesn't know this, but when you buy square footage from a developer, you're buying exterior measurements. You're not getting living space. So if it's 450 square feet, you have to subtract about 6 to 8 inches, even 12 inches inside the concrete wall.
Because they're counting the concrete.
You got it. They're counting the exterior measurements of it. And
but it's your concrete, Sandra.
No, it's not, because it's facing the outside. It's common.
Yes.
It's not.
And that was one of the things, too, because you asked, what did COA submit? We submitted a slew of recommendations of disclosure that builders should be putting on the table, that buyers should be signing off to, recognizing that they understand what the square footage is, they understand what the implications are on HST if they were an investor, they understand what they can expect as far as expenditures on closing, what occupancy means versus registering the building, all of these key things which are very, very important to them. And that, to some degree, got shut down, where the government now wants to put together a brochure so that the brochure can be handed out. Well, we don't believe it should be a brochure. It should be a disclosure with acknowledgement of receipt by the buyer.
Well, okay, Linda.
Wow.
So good luck with all this, because I think it's going to mean a lot for the whole province as we move forward and as more and more people are living in condos. So I wish you all the best.
Two things. I just want to mention two things. First of all, I know why they wanted to shut you down, because you're a force to reckon with. I have to say, I would be afraid if I were on the other side, I have to say. And number two, is there anything positive at this point that you can leave us with?
Positive, yes. I'm finding that where we're not expecting it, and it's all of a sudden jumped to the occasion, was CBC, the documentary, contacting us. We did a Condo Hero contest with Allstate Insurance of Canada, who came on board with the Condo Owners Association. I was a judge with the president, CEO of Allstate. Now we're finding that GEEP International and GLAD, we're going to be talking to them about moving forward. So we're finding that multi-billion-dollar corporate companies are stepping forward and saying, hey, we could work with COA. So I think that as that grows, everything else is a domino effect.
Are these developers? Any developers?
No, they're not. They're all about
thank goodness.
Recycling and bringing in waste ideas, and again, helping condo corporations and buildings. And
these are more focused on communities.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and that seems to me where you need where the real strength is. It's because this is a community.
That's right.
A condo is a community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Should be.
Yeah. And and I'd love to draw the attention to iTunes, because I thought we were getting to the point where we were trying to use the website to shout out, and Twitter, and of course coming on ThatChannel and doing all these different things, and we've set up 26 different Twitter accounts of 26 divisions of COA. Like, you've got the Condo Owners Association Ontario, and below that we have divisions, just like the police department.
Okay.
So you have COA Toronto, COA Hamilton, COA Ottawa, Kitchener, Waterloo, Sudbury, North Bay, Niagara Falls. And so we were looking for committee members of all the different divisions who will work with us and develop COA in all the districts which are part of the division. So if you think about the ridings,
Yes, I was I was visualizing
that's
that
where
in
you
my head.
visualize
Yes,
it? Yeah.
yes,
So
yes.
if you think of Trinity Spadina, for instance, down by, the ACC and so on, that's all Trinity Spadina. So it's COA Ontario, the division is COA Toronto, and the district is Trinity Spadina.
So I can see how politicians might
Oh,
eventually
absolutely.
want. So this is how another way in which COA can gain strength and gain the government on their side,
Right.
because
It's their
this is what's
constituents.
really important for membership numbers to increase, because you strengthen your power when the ridings see, wait a second, these guys are really growing in numbers, and if I want to get my constituents on my side, this would be one angle I would use
Absolutely.
to get to know them.
And that was why, I mean, it was a lot of sleepless nights trying to figure out how to structure this to truly work with our politicians, because they hold the key to positive change. And the condo owners, they hold the key for their long-term sustainability, equity, growth, and you know what, a good lifestyle, which is what it's all about, isn't it?
Well, that's the dream.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
the
And that's why the
dream.
condo, that's why the seniors thing bothers me tremendously. Like, the politicians need to pay attention. It's the seniors that are doing the majority of voting. So,
And we're all going to be a senior one day.
Unfortunately, yes.
Some not so
No,
far.
he's not going to.
Some not so far, right?
I'm not voting when I get old.
No.
Just kidding. Of course I'm going to vote.
Wow, thank you. I think
know.
you should become Prime Minister.
Oh, well, that would be an interesting challenge. I actually met Jean Chrétien at one of the PAC conventions in Parliament Hill, because that was the advantage of being on government relations is that every year, 3 times a year, we go down to Parliament Hill and we meet with our local MPPs and MPs, depending on the subject at that time that we're lobbying for.
Right.
And it's wonderful. I mean, the amount of information and knowledge that you receive, certainly a lot of it has helped me to get the idea of COA as far as how to do it, or try and at least put some pieces together.
Okay, Linda, so people can check out coaontario.com. And where do they get your radio show?
Oh, they can just, if they go into coaontario.com, there's a direct link, or they can just type in iTunes, Linda Pinizzotto, or iTunes Condo Expert with just CONDO XPERT.
Okay.
And that will lead them. There's about 120 shows on there right now and growing.
Great. Okay.
My goodness, I don't know where you get the time to do anything else.
Well, they have COA Toronto too. Like we did, because Toronto is such a huge city with so many condos, we have created a separate website for COA Toronto, because we've now invited all the ratepayers associations to have links on that website.
Wow.
So that we can try and embrace all of their community activity too.
Wow.
Good
Okay,
job.
so COA Toronto
Yes.
2 people can check out, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thanks. Well, that's it for the show today.
Well, that was a lot of information for my head.
Well,
especially after we had that beautiful artist with Mark and that comfortable, relaxing music, and then wow, just whoosh with Linda.
Yep. No, we're going to try carefully not to fall over backwards and fall off this condo balcony and the hard payment below. But that's it for Look Wellness today. Thanks everybody for
That would
tuning
hurt.
in. We'll see you next time right here on ThatChannel.com. We're going to go out with another Martyre video right now.
Okay.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
One, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Well, I threw off the bowlines. I sailed away from the safe harbor. I caught the trade winds in my sails, and I was about to turn in. Those waves raised my pen, and the rain turned to hail. And when the lights burned out, I saw your eyes and your mouth. I knew what I was sailing towards, 'cause it was a cold day. wish I could write you something real slow, but I can't seem to capture, to describe your laughter, your presence and your glow. And the world's so hard to bear without you.